What's going on YouTube? It's Archer Blues coming at you with another video, and I've got a little flurry. So as per usual, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll get into it. Today, bit of a review on Joe Lewis. And I highly recommend people go and sub to him. I know that a lot of people within that may hold views that are adjacent to mine don't recommend that. I'm not one of them. I think that Joe has a track record that, to me, more often than not, he's on the right side of the argument. So I'll run with that. And I recommend you go and watch his content, make a judgment for yourself on it. I've made a judgment. I still watch his content here and there whenever I can. But this video I disagree with. And the video he posted up is answering the shark question, which was a good question. It's a question or a point that's a question that addresses a point that is raised by a lot of people within the corner of the cornbread tube sphere that Joe may orbit, but generally it's people like FD Signifier, Professor Flowers did this, Soul Bunny did this. I don't think TIIIRB, whatever his name is, or a few others did this as well, but nonetheless, the point they're trying to say is we should take black voices, or give black voices precedent over white voices when it comes to speaking on black issues. And I disagree with that. I think we should take the best arguments for racial equality, regardless of the color of the skin of the person providing that discourse and that argument, and run with it. And like I said before, I'm in the business of building coalitions and building a strong basis for an argument that can help us get the equality that we want, right? So, that being said, Shark posed a really good question, which is, if we are to take black voices over white voices in this space, how can we best ensure, he said it worded slightly differently, but how can we best ensure that people don't take Candace Owens more seriously than someone like Martin Luther King, right? And Joe responded, I don't think it answered the question correctly, but it is the best response I've heard, which is we take both seriously. And he used a couple of factors beforehand, like lived experience, intersectionality, so on and so forth, class, socioeconomic conditions of the person growing up and such, to try and build this argument. Here is the problem with that. And it brings me back to the point that we should be taking any voice of advocacy towards equality, just as serious as the next, regardless of the color of their skin or their lived experience. The issue lies in tokenization, right? And I think that Joe knows this, but he doesn't want to concede on it. When we have audience members, and I've alluded to this in my previous videos as well, you have an audience to an idea, you're going to have people with a propensity to consume it, or people that consume your idea overwhelmingly have the propensity to sharing the same worldview as you, right? That's just a reality. If people watch videos, they're more likely to engage with that video if they agree with it. The same thing applies with people. And this is where tokenism comes into play. If I was to talk to a white conservative about their views and who they take seriously within the space of racial discussion, they're going to mention Candace Owens. They're going to mention Thomas Sowell, because these people, especially Thomas Sowell, is a bit more insidious because Thomas Sowell is someone who is learned outside of the field of social studies and racial studies in particular. This is a guy who has some principles that policy developers actually apply when it comes to assessing the value of a policy and not just introducing it for the sake of it. And they'll look at that and they'll be like, oh yeah, Thomas Sowell, look at him. He's a renowned economist. He knows what he's talking about within this field of economics. And he says segregation is bad. I think segregation is bad as well. I'm going to use this. And they'll turn around and they'll say, yeah, integration, not segregation is bad. Segregation is good. Integration is bad. They'll turn around and they'll say, well, scratching. I think we should keep everyone different. We call it same but different. And black people should go to school with other black people. White people should go to school with other white people, which really shouldn't mix. It doesn't really work. And Thomas Sowell said it as well. Therefore, I think it's correct. Another example would be the George Floyd case, where a white conservative may turn around and say, well, George Floyd, Derek Chauvin didn't do anything wrong with George Floyd. Like, George Floyd was no angel. How do you expect a police officer to act with someone who pointed a gun at a pregnant lady? Now, the problem with that framing is no one is asking no one's arguing that George Floyd was an angel. No one is arguing that George Floyd, what he did in his past, was justified. What people are arguing, and people did argue, people were burning buildings down over, is no one police officer should have the right to extrajudiciously kill someone without full legal course taking place and the justice system being able to play out. That's not the role or function of the police. And what Derek Chauvin did constitutes murder, or manslaughter at the least. Reckless disregard for the life of another person. Because a $20 counterfeit bill, regardless of your previous criminal history, does not warrant a death sentence. The death sentence in the US has been phased out in all but a few states. And the only thing that warrants a death sentence in the US is capital murder. I didn't know that a $20 bill counterfeited was akin to capital murder. You get it? So just bear that in mind. And this brings me back to this one point. I think I'm going to rush to get in under this 10-minute mark. We as progressives should not be leaning on the identity of someone making an argument, pushing for equality. We can have black people who use data and put forth an objective argument towards equality, and even an emotional argument. Dr. Cornel West does a great job of this, but he knows the data as well. And there are a lot of white people who are advocates for equality that do the same thing, and I think we should just take all of them seriously just the same. Do I think that more black people should be listened to? Yeah, fair enough, but that's a different argument. And I don't agree with Joe Lewis here. I think any voice that advocates for equality and has data to further bolster its position, or their position, not it, I'm more than happy to have them here, and we build this coalition to build a resounding voice. That sounds libby as fuck, but it is what it is. And trying to gatekeep discussion on issues that affect people of color, it does nothing but harm our outreach. None of the greatest advocates and activists for the cause of civil rights or equality throughout the world, they didn't look at the majority and say, oh, these guys don't get it, we don't want them in our space. They've always said, come join us if you're for equality. Yeah, so look, like I said, any advocate's a good advocate for equality. I don't, so long as they're not spouting pro-conservative, pro-racist, white supremacist talking points, I don't care who's part of this fold. We're in it to build a coalition, as I said. So I disagree with Joe. Still check out his content. I think it's good, and I hope Joe will address this, and feel free to do so. And big ups to you. Anyways, guys, I'll see you all next time. Be easy, stay safe as per usual. I'll catch you in the next video, which will probably be very soon. Bye.